Let's talk about commands, affirmative to commands. We're in Unit 5, Lesson 2 of the Spanish 1 book, and we're doing the Grammar 2, the second grammar point, which is about affirmative to commands. Up to this point, we've talked mostly about indicative, the indicative mood, which means we're making statements. So when we learned present tense back in Unit 2, present tense AR verbs, and then present tense ER and IR verbs, all of the stuff that we've been talking about has been the indicative mood. That means you're making a statement about something. Billy goes to the store. Sarah and John are nice people, etc. Those are all indicating things. That's called the indicative mood. Well, you could also command things, which is called the imperative mood. You could command people. Instead of saying Billy goes to the store, I could command Billy, go to the store. That would be a command, and that's called the imperative mood. So you have an indicative mood where you're making statements, and then you have an imperative mood where you are making commands. And they could be polite commands, but they're commands nonetheless. You're also going to learn about a subjunctive mood in I think Spanish 3. You'll learn about the subjunctive mood, which is a completely different kind of a mood. That's more of like where you're making suggestions. You're not assuming something to be true or something to happen. You're making suggestions. And actually, the subjunctive mood has a little bit of something to do with commands as well, but I'm not going to explain that today. Today, what we're going to talk about is the affirmative to commands. So if you want to command a friend or a family member, someone that you would use to if you were talking to them and say, ¿Cómo estás? For instance, ¿Cómo estás tú? How are you? Someone that you would speak to in the to form. Then when you're telling them to do something, you would use the affirmative to commands. And you'll notice here in our little cheat sheet that the regular affirmative to commands are the same as the L and AF form of the present tense. So if you wanted to tell them to wash the dishes, you would say lava los platos. You'll notice that they are putting the exclamation points here. You don't even need exclamation points necessarily, but it helps us understand that it is a command when you put them there. Barrer, if it's an ER verb, to say sweep the floor, you would say barre el suelo. So again, you're not talking about someone sweeping the floor, which that could mean that. If you just said barre el suelo without any context around it, you might wonder, are you saying that Billy sweeps the floor, that someone sweeps the floor, or are you telling me to sweep the floor? And then for an IR verb, abrir, for example, abre la puerta, you're using, again, abrir in the L or ella present tense form is abre, so the command would also be abre la puerta. There are some irregular commands, and you'll see those right here. Decir, if you want to tell someone to say something or tell something, you say di. You'll hear people say a lot, dime, tell me. We'll get to that in a minute. Hacer, you would say haz. So if you wanted to tell someone to make the bed, haz la cama. Ir, to go, if you want someone to go, if you're telling the dog go, like leave, go, it'd be it'd be ve, ve. Remember that v is pronounced more like a b. If you want someone to set the table or to put something somewhere, you say pon. Salir is to go. If you wanted someone to leave or go out, you would say sal. Ser means to be. If you want someone to be nice, you'd say sé simpático, be nice. Tener, if you wanted someone, for instance, to be careful, ten cuidado, you'd say ten cuidado, be careful, have care. And venir is, if you want someone to come here, you'd say ven aquí, come here. One other thing that you'll notice is the affirmative, when you're using the affirmative command with direct object pronouns, is that you can attach the pronoun to the end of the command. And then if you need to add an accent to preserve the pronunciation rules that we talk about all the time, go ahead and do that. So for instance, if you want someone to shut the door, close the door, you would say cierra la ventana. But if you wanted just to say shut it, referring to the window, sorry, not the door, you would say ciérrala. Attach the la directly to the end of the word sierra. And notice that the accent mark is put on the E to preserve that pronunciation. Otherwise, it'd be pronounced with the stress on the second to last syllable, which is that A right there, and that wouldn't sound right. Ciérrala doesn't sound right. If you want someone to set the table, for instance, pon la mesa, or to say set it now, it would be ponla ahora. You'll notice I didn't have to put an accent mark on that O because the rules for pronunciation, stress, and accent marks do not require me to do that because the second to last syllable is that O, and that's exactly where I want the stress to be. All right, so that's a little bit about accents, or rather commands, and using direct object pronouns at the end. Let's take a look at Home Tutor just really quickly and just try level B activity 1 together. If you wanted to say for someone to come to the movie theater, remember venir was one of those irregular ones, so that was ven al cine. If you want to tell someone to dance, dance with the music. Baila, remember it's just like the third person singular if you were saying he dances, but this doesn't mean he dances, this means dance. It's a command. I'm saying dance with the music. To drink a refreshment would be bebe un refresco. Open the door. We just saw this a moment ago. Abre la puerta. And climb or go up to your room. It would be sube a tu cuarto. There are your answers. Hopefully that makes sense. Good luck.